Welcome to the Publisher Spotlight ALA Book Buzz. Hope you're enjoying all of this information. And my name is Ellen Myrick, and I'm thrilled to take you on a tour of several different publishers from all around the world on these different themes. So buckle your seatbelts and let's get rolling. First of all, I just wanted to say, hey, make sure you check us out on App Hub Spotlight and all your various favorite social media platforms. Let's start off with STEM. You can't have a book buzz with a book about bees in it without doing the thing about bees. So I'm thrilled to show you the thing about bees today. And this is by Shabazz Larkin. You may know this book because it came out in the fall, but the audiobook is coming out this June. And June is the month we celebrate bees more than any other month. But frankly, shouldn't we celebrate them every month anyway? The cool thing about this book is that it is narrated by the author. Shabazz Larkin himself is the guy who takes us on this tour, this love letter to his sons, and this exploration of all things around bees. And he wrote this book, cool fact, because he was afraid of bees. So there you go. Now you know the thing about bees is don't be afraid. Next up, we have 4 new Rosa books. So if you know Rosa from the Rosa board books, well, guess what? Rosa is all about STEM now. So we have these wonderful STEM experiment books. These are not board books. These are sturdy hardcovers. So let's take a quick look at these. The boat experiment, bridge experiment, and this does have the same cast from the Rosa board books. The pizza experiment, and yes, there is a recipe. And finally, the sunflower experiment. So I know you'll want to check out Rosa and these wonderful books from Child's Play. And one thing to keep in mind about Child's Play is that these books are so inclusive. They have kids with different abilities in there. There's a kid who's on the spectrum, and it doesn't say Marcelo's on the spectrum, but you know what? He does things that are certainly appropriate for kids who are on the spectrum. So please check out these books and all the Rosa books from Child's Play. Next up from Timeline, we have this spectacular Timeline Science and Technology. So this is from Peter Goes, who did that gorgeous Timeline book that Gecko Press did a few years ago. And he did Rivers as well. As you can see, time is a river, and it goes through, and I'm ignoring that bell, and I'm sure he's going to open up the door. Anyway, don't you love this? So time is a river, and you can see the things that are happening throughout time all over the world. This is a book for kids to explore their curiosity. So please check it out. This is a book that a kid can dive into and live for a long time. Next up, food literacy. So you know Sylvia's spinach, but did you know what's coming out in Spanish? It tastes the same, but it's said with a slightly different kind of word. So Las Espasas Espinacas de Sylvia is coming up, and it is being narrated. Here we go. I can see what it looks like. It's being narrated by Elisa Rosa and Brian Amador, who've done several other books with Live Oak Media. And I know you know Live Oak Media because they have won so many Odyssey Awards. Well, so now this book in both English and Spanish is available on hardcover, paperback, and audiobook. And in this case, Sylvia learns that even though she's a picky eater, it's okay to like spinach, and her teacher gives her some seeds and she grows her own. Now the bread pet, super, super fun. So I'm going to move my picture over here. Let's go down here. Oh, this is so cool. I love technology. So the bread pet is about a girl who gets a gift from a really good friend, and he teaches her about it. And before too much time goes by, you know how it works with starter. You have too much, so you have to give it away to people. So they find a way to give it away. They make some extra bread for people in the community, and there's great back matter. So you can make your own bread pet, and you can bake bread. All this is the bread pet from Barefoot Books. Dog Days. Oh, we're going to be in the dog days this summer. Scruff, this is from Alice Boucher. This is about a guy who's looking for a dog that he thinks will really relate to him. So he thinks Scruff is perfect, but turns out Scruffy has an inner dandy, and he really likes to clean up. So he and his owner both get groomed, and they win the award of the dog looks most like its owner. So this is Scruff from Cicada Books. Next up, Madeline Finn and the Therapy Dog. I know you know Madeline Finn. These books are great. It's Madeline Finn and the Shelter Dog, and the Therapy Dog is the new one, the Library Dog. And this one, Star gets actual training to become a therapy dog. This is not an easy thing. So you can see everything that he does in order to really, really learn how to do this. In Wild Thing, this is from Ablaze Comics. This is a graphic novel about a dog that is adopted from a shelter, but this is not nearly as happy an experience. It is not easy for him, and he goes into the wild and is taken under the wing or the paw of this wolf who teaches him how to survive in the wild. So that's Ablaze Comics, Wild thing. I have 3 books with rhinos. Who knew? The first one, It's Only One, is really about pollution. You can't just throw something away. You can't just pick one flower, because if everyone did that, then we would live in a trash-filled, flowerless world. So this book is about that, and I think it's really interesting. They include noise pollution, right? So yes, that is pollution too, but everyone learns they can work together to clean up the world, and there is some great information on the back, some good tips on how you can make a difference. So that is It's Only One from Tiger Tales. A Family for Faru is from Pajama Press. And one thing I just adore about this book is that it's real. This is own voices. These are people from Kenya, I believe. And Faru finds this hippo, which he names Faru. His name is Tetenu, the little boy. And he takes him into the wild to find a herd that he can get him to. And the cool thing about this is that he finds some berries and smears them on the rhinoceros's horn so that the poachers won't take him. So you can see his little pink horn there. And he is eventually adopted back into the herd. Herd is not an easy thing. This is something that has to be done carefully, and this doesn't make it easy. Last, this is from Nicola Davies. Did you know she illustrates? You probably didn't, because this is the first time. So Nicola Davies is doing her first debut illustration with Last. You know, she's a zoologist. She's the author of Tiny Creatures and The Day the War Came, and so many amazing books about fiction and nonfiction. But this is the story of Sudan, who was the last white northern rhino. So his life with his mother, and then she's killed. He's taken away in a box, and even the rain smelled empty. Don't you know exactly what that means? And this is his life in the zoo. And finally, he's returned back to where he came from. And I love this. He smells real fat running. And then you have great back matter because it's Nicola Davies, which tells you more about the book. So please comment and share. Own Voices, The Mountains of Mumbai. So this book is amazing. This is about a little girl who lives in Ladakh in India, and she comes to visit her friend in Mumbai, and she misses her mountains. And her friend says, well, your mountains are kind of brown and triangle, but we got mountains. See, take a look at these mountains here. We have mountains, we have rivers, we have towers. So it's a celebration of city and place, and also that city, country kind of, not tension, but the juxtaposition, if you will. And this book is really different shape. So I don't know if you can tell, but it is extra wide. So it is an outstanding book, and I'm sure you'll want to check it out. Barefoot Books, A Gift for Amma, Market Day in India. So this is a book about colors, but the cool thing is the colors are represented by different things you find in the marketplace in India, like saffron for orange, indigo for blue, all these different things in the back matter. And then you have markets from around the world. So that especially makes this book great, and it's available in Spanish. So we love that. The Powwow Dog. This is from Raycraft. And this is by Joseph Bruchac, who's done at least 100 books in Dale DeForest. And the cool thing about this is it's kind of blended. It is prose, but also has graphic elements. So you get a sense about this family who goes to different powwows, and there's a mystery involved. There's this mysterious white dog who steals a burger and takes it away. And what does it mean? So it's just really interesting and mysterious and cool. And in the end, they learn where the dog has gone to, and they're able to help out. So there you go. You see his owner. So these are the Powwow Mysteries from Raycraft. Check them out. Evidently, the buffalo burger is pretty darn tasty. So social emotional literacy. I'll Be the Water. This is a beautiful story of intergenerational relationships. And this is a boy and his grandfather. And what I love about this is you really get a sense of the relationship between them. The boy says, I noticed his skin had gotten kind of saggy. And then he goes in, the grandfather goes in the hospital for tests. And says, I wish you weren't so good at getting old. And his grandfather smiles and said, I've always been an overachiever. And then when his grandfather is gone, he takes his daughter, when he grows up, to the same places they used to go together. That's I'll Be the Water. Beautiful, beautiful book from Tilbury House. Worries are not forever. There's so much to be worried about right now, and kids really seem to be kind of anxious. So Free Spirit is so good at these books. This is part of their Best Behavior series. And this just is a few spreads from the board book, but this is also available in paperback. So be aware that it's got a little bit more information in it. And it always has really good tips for parents and caregivers in the back. So that it helps kids figure out coping skills. And here's another one from Free Spirit, Sometimes When I'm Sad. There are just times you feel sad, and this helps children recognize when they're sad and how to deal with that, how to cope with that. And then again, it also has really good back matter for parents and teachers and caregivers. So yeah, Sometimes When I'm Sad. And from Raycraft, we have The Woodpecker Girl, such a beautiful book. So this comes from China, and the illustrations, well, let me tell you the story of the book real fast. So this is about a girl who has cerebral palsy, and this is based on a true story. And she gets angry and she can't communicate because that is part of what cerebral palsy does. But she does learn how to paint. And her father rigs up a way for her to be able to hold a pen in front of her, which makes her like a woodpecker. And then here in the back, these are some of the paintings actually painted by the girl this is based on. So the artist mimicked her style or was inspired by her style in the illustrations that she created for the book. So this is Woodpecker Girl, just a stunningly beautiful book. An imperfect body can also lead to a perfect life is really the message of this story. So check it out. Jacob's Fantastic Flight. This is a book about imagination. Jacob, why go to the beach, the conventional way? Why shouldn't he just fly there? So he flies to the beach. And along the way, he makes some friends. He helps save some birds and helps them get back on course. And it's just a wonderful story of engaging with the natural world and being willing to let your imagination fly. So, and connecting to the natural world, helping others in need. That's another thing too. This is also somebody who was recognized at Bologna, which is the big international children's book festival, in the graphic category this year. So this is the first year they had that award. School Days. Calvin Gets the Last Word. This book is actually narrated by the dictionary. So, yep, there's Calvin. He's reading the dictionary, always looking for the right word. I think the right word here is mayhem. He goes to school and he's reading the dictionary when he should actually be studying and paying attention in class. And so his word is bewilderment. And the right word for his big brother is prank. So this is Calvin Gets the Last Word. Really, really fun. And boy, will you build a vocabulary after you've read this one. Princess Arabella at the museum. So you know Princess Arabella and Milo Freeman. She lives in the Netherlands, and Princess Arabella's had lots of adventures. What I love about this book is it actually is a child's experience of a museum. So you see things that you may be familiar with, but you have this child's take on it. And don't you love her Mondrian dress? And I know I want that. So this is Princess Arabella at the museum, coming out in October from Cassava Republic, which is a publisher based in Nigeria, but easily available in the U.S. as all these books are. The Immigrant Experience. So this is from Gecko Press in New Zealand, and it's by Isa Watanabe, who is a Peruvian illustrator. It's a wordless picture book about the immigrant experience. And the art is lush and lovely, and you can just lose yourself in it. And this would also be pretty amazing as a writing prompt, so English teachers take note. Yeah, gorgeous, right? There you go, Migrants. I think it's perfect for fans of Duck, Death, and the Tulip, if you know that book. And we have Mexique, a refugee story from the Spanish Civil War. We don't really know a lot about the Spanish Civil War. We don't really study it very much in school here. But once in 1937, 400 school kids were put on boats to Mexico because they thought the war was only going to last for a few months. Well, it didn't. And by the time the war was over, Franco was in charge, and it was too dangerous for some of the kids to go back. So this is their story of their journey, what they thought was going to happen, what actually happened. So this is another refugee experience, but just gorgeous illustrations as well. This is another one about the immigrant experience, the day Saida arrived. So Saida is a girl from Morocco, and she has a new friend who just really wants to communicate with her so desperately, and she can't figure out where Saida's words have gone. But eventually they figure out a way to communicate together, and they learn words together. Isn't this beautiful? The language of the heart. And she finds that Saida does have words of every shape and sound. And what I really love about this is that it teaches some Arabic. So it transliterates some of the words so you can learn how to pronounce them. And it shows both alphabets. So you can learn some Arabic while you're doing this as well. And while we're learning Arabic, This is coming from Cube Publishing, which is a publisher based in the UK. That, I should have mentioned that last book, Blue Dot Press. Keep an eye out for them. They're doing some stellar work. This is from Cube. Cube does books that celebrate Muslim faith and culture. And my first Iqra is a way to learn Ihaya, letters and pronunciation. So this gives you an idea of ways to trace them. So if you really get interested in the last book about learning how to write and speak Arabic, well, here's your chance. And this is my first Iqra coming out soon. This is a wipe-off word book, so you can actually use a dry erase marker and use it to trace. Pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to share and check us out. And you got to have good read-aloud books, right? Story time. So this is a duck who's getting a special new baby, and the turtle delivers this. I'm sorry, there's been a mistake. That's not my brother. I'm afraid I don't make mistakes. This is the right house. Bye. And before long, he's got everybody else's baby except for his own. And in the end, it all works out just fine. So that's special delivery, again, from Cicada. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. This is from Johnny Lambert. I love his illustrations so much. And this is a mischievous chameleon who can prank everybody because nobody can see him, right? But when he gets pranked, he learns it's not nearly as much fun to be the pranky as a pranker. So, good one for empathy building. This poop is mine. I mean, poop story times, right? In Spanish, esta caca es mía. Yep, so this is George. He leaves a present on the ground. This fly finds it, and it is great. And another fly challenges him over it. So they have a royal battle. But as inevitably happens, somebody stomps on it. They end up in the fly hospital, and they discover that this poop is ours, works just fine. So that is from Nube Ocho. Everything they do, almost everything they do, is in both English and Spanish. I'm Miss Geary Vampire. This is so perfect for Halloween. And in Spanish, un vampiro peligroso. So there's a little vampire who needs to scare somebody. This little girl doesn't have any of it, but he tells her what he needs, and she's a good friend, and she acts really scared when the right moment comes. And I would pair this with Leonardo as a terrible monster. Got lots of fairy tales, the legend of the first unicorn. Did you know that the unicorn is the national symbol of Scotland? It's true. So this is from Larry Dawn, who has done lots of these beautiful legend and fairy tale books for Florist Books, who is based in Scotland. And, I mean, this is gorgeous. So this is the origin story. Wondered how unicorns came to be? Now you will find out. And, yes, the illustrations are stunning. So that is that. And The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I was surprised there are not many copies. There are not many different editions of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is by Gerda Mueller, who is just an amazing illustrator. And this tells you all the things you need to know. Yes, it is kind of like the mouse story, but it's a little bit more detail, and the illustrations are gorgeous. So The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Florist is a great publisher to go to if you're looking for traditional anthologies and fairy tales and legends. They have other things too, but they especially shine at that. Got some great middle grade. The Marvelwood Magicians. Now you're thinking, I've already seen this book. Yes, you have, but did you know there's an audio? Well, there is. It's narrated by Sarah Zimmerman. So this is a fantasy adventure coming of age story about a family where each person in the family has a different magical ability, and this is in a circus setting, so of course there has to be an evil ringmaster, right? So this is from Live Oak Media, and yes, Live Oak Media has middle grade. They have amazing middle grade books, audiobooks, so please check them out. You can get them from Learner, but you can get them from lots of places too. Overdrive, you name it, you can get it from them. So check it out. Mr. Invincible. This is a graphic novel that won the big middle grade prize at Bologna for the best graphic novel by Pierre Jusselin. And this is a superhero whose special ability obviously is not his physique. His superpower is his ability to go outside the panels. So you can see over here how he's actually handing this down to himself in a later panel. So he is not bound by he breaks the fourth wall, he breaks the space-time continuum, however you want to express it, but it is fun and cool. So, Pascal Jusselin. And it's coming to us from Magnetic Press. They do all those gorgeous Love the Tiger, Love the Fox. If you've seen those graphic novels, they are stunning. And Asterix. You're thinking, I've seen this before, but this is a fresh translation. And did you know it is the 60th anniversary of Asterix? It's true, it is. So we've got a whole new collection, newly translated, and made a little bit more appropriate for today's readers. Lots of fun, and fully colorized too. So not just Asterix, but also Obelix and Dominix and all the usual characters. And The School for Extraterrestrial Girls. This is fun. So she looks normal, right? But it turns out that she is an extraterrestrial, but you see her bracelet she's wearing? That keeps her from reverting to her form that she should be in. And when she loses her bracelet and reverts to the other form, she's sent away to school. And it's scary being with the other extraterrestrials. And it's just, it's really challenging. It explores things of bias and racism and belonging and your identity and learning who you're going to be, who you are and who you want to be, and making your way there. This is from the same guy who did Princeless. So if you're a fan of Princeless, then you're going to like this too. Anne of Green Gables, yes, in manga. And these are the manga classics. So they read from the back of the book to the front, just like Japanese manga does, and explains that for the kids who don't know that. Beautifully illustrated, preserves a lot of the original language as much as it can. Just gorgeous. And that is from Manga Classics. Yeah, be sure to comment. Check us out. Register for our big drawing. And we have so many history books to share with you, including this gorgeous book from Peachtree, William Still and His Freedom Story. So this is Don Tate, who has been honored by Ezra Jack Keats Award. Has won so many, the Carter Woodson Award. And this one I feel like is a really strong contender. This begins within a time when the United States was split in two. And William Still collected the stories of people on the Underground Railroad, and this is where he hid them. True story. Learn more. Check this book out. And fantastic end papers that are primary sources. Isn't that cool? So we also have Black Heroes of the Wild West, and this is by James Otis Smith. This is published by Toon Books, and what is really cool, yes, I know you're seeing Kid Dear Nelson. Everybody has eyes, go straight there. He did the introduction for this, so as you can tell. So this is 3 different stories of Black heroes from the Wild West, all told in a graphic nonfiction format with fantastic back matter. Because it's Toon, you know it's going to be awesome. The Teacher's March, How Selma's Teachers Change History. This is from Boyd's Mills Kane and Calkins Creek. What I love about this one is this is the story of the Reverend F.D. Reese and how he took what he had, his gravitas in the community, and turned it into an act of heroism to ensure that people would have the right to vote. So this is voting rights. These are the teachers marching on the downtown in Selma. And of course, great back matter. And the authors were able to interview him before he passed away. So this is getting the story from him and telling it. And of course, these are fantastic authors with so many wonderful books to their credit. And the illustrator of this is won the John Steptoe, New Illustrator Prize a couple years ago. So yeah, gorgeous book. Blood and Germs. We're all talking about germs these days, right? So this is also from Boyd's Mills Kane and Calkins Creek, Gail Jarrow, Cybert Honoree. And this is not the story really about the conflict about the North against the South, but how they both tried to defeat the germs and all the medical issues that came up on the battlefield, the diseases and the wounds, and how did they treat this? So they learned a lot, and they really innovated a lot because of the necessity of being in the battlefield. And gorgeously illustrated, really, really important book, and it's something you're going to learn a lot from. Absolutely everything. This is now in audio. So if you know this book, then you know that it includes the things that kids are just really interested in. The history of Earth, dinosaurs, rulers, robots, and other things too numerous to mention. Written by Christopher Lloyd and narrated by Christopher Lloyd. This is not the one who was in Back to the Future. This is the author, but he is still just as charismatic, I would say, as that other guy. So check him out on YouTube. He is so enthusiastic and just interested in everything, which makes you interested in it. So it's contagious and fun. And this is newly available in audio this month. So check it out. Also coming from them and edited by Christopher Lloyd is the Britannica All News Kids Encyclopedia. What we know and what we don't. And this is how it organizes the information. I think it's really interesting. It goes into what we don't know. So volcanoes, bugs, civil rights, and that is that. All right, lastly, Bedtime Books, Night Wishes by the late Lee Bennett Hopkins. He selected the poems, and of course he contributed ones, but these are bedtime poems that everybody should be able to enjoy as they get ready for bed. How do clocks say goodnight? Who knows? Beautiful illustrations as well. And that is from from Aardman's. 5-minute really true stories for bedtime. So there are those kids who just want stuff that's true. So these are 30 stories that will last 5 minutes. You don't have to save them for bedtime, but you can if you want to. With illustrations. So just a really great way. And this is the new partnership between One on Earth and Britannica Books. So they're also the ones who are doing that beautiful encyclopedia you just saw. Britannica and One on Earth. Chomp, chomp, chomp. So that is 5-minute really true stories for bedtime. And thank you so much. Perhaps this is not the last one you'll watch. I hope you'll join us. Please contact me at ellen@publisherspotlight.com if you're interested in any of these books. Follow us on all of our social media at PubSpotlight, and we'd love to hear from you. Take care.